Hey, remember last week when we were talking about muscle growth? Well, I found an app.
I found an app too.
Alpha Progression.
Alpha Progression. Their no BS training for muscle growth is the go-to for anyone training to maximize muscle gain. They are 100% focused on it. It's science-based and developed by serious lifters with personal training and competitive bodybuilding backgrounds.
Alpha Progression has been recognized twice as App of the Day by Apple. Users love the interface that constantly tells us how easy it is to use all of their features. It really is the ideal tool for both novice and seasonal lifters like us. What's your favorite feature?
Love that plan generator. They generate plans from scratch and according to the user's needs, like what muscles they want to focus on and what equipment they have. There are over like 1,000 trillion billion unique combinations. Quality-wise, their plans measure up to the best personal trainers in the world. They had a coach who charges $500 a month tell them that their app follows the exact same principles. And yours?
Progression recommendations, because strength training is all about progression. Their algorithm analyzes past performances and gives a recommendation for weight and reps in every set. This guarantees long-term success.
Right now, the Pro version is $12.99 per month or $79.99 per year with a 2-week free trial.
And customers get 20% off their first payment using the link alphaprogression.com/CWDATB. Alpha Progression.
Welcome, fellow lushes. Come on in, pull up a bar stool, and enjoy some cocktails with Dimples and the Beard.
You don't like that covering my fancy name? People won't know that.
They don't know who's who. So if you're settled down now,
I
will open the tavern.
There are so many things to be angry about today, but welcome back to another episode.
What's about to happen in 5 minutes would not anger you at all?
And the Beard. First thing I want to do before we say anything to anybody about anything, I want to give a shout out to this fabulous hat. Where do I turn my head? This way? The missus and I took a little road trip. We got a little lost, but it was good because we ended up at Ooga Brewing in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Thank you, Ooga.
Ooga.
For your delicious beer and for being one of the only breweries I've been to in quite a while brave enough to only have one IPA on tap. Salute to you. You make a great Hefeweizen. So, salute.
Well, there you go. Oh, good for them.
I had to get that out there because I was so impressed when I got there and I looked at their menu because I'm used to now going to breweries and going, you know what, I'll take water. You got fucking 6 IPAs and
give me that one non-IPA.
Yeah,
because I don't know any. Yep, no, I hear you. I mean, I can't. This is probably the best time for me to not be able to drink beer with all the shit out there, sours and IPAs. But
yeah, in a cool little downtown area down there in Beaver Dam. We just happened we were off the beaten path and we saw it on the side or saw it on the road, and Leah's like, "You want to stop for one?" And I was already halfway into the churn, so we were the only people there, so we got to talk with the I don't know if she was the owner or whatever, but got a little history behind the place. It used to be an old garage.
Those are the fun, isn't it?
Garage,
unexpected.
So that's where it came up with Ooga, like the old car horn sound.
Nice.
Ooga.
That is exactly what was in my brain, but I thought there's no way it's the.
Yeah, it's a cool. So it's a cool building because it's like an old car garage, automotive garage. So.
Perfect.
Very cool. Anyway,
it's something I would go just because.
We could do a live podcast there.
I would do it. I'm assuming they do a good seltzer.
They probably do. You hear that, Ugo? We're coming for a live podcast.
Coming for you. We're coming for you.
Anyway, how was Stevie Wonders?
Stevie Wonders was fantastic. The guy sounds so good still. And of course, the songs. Can't beat the songs.
Did you do a lot of this in the crowd so he could see you?
I did. I yelled a lot. Because I'm like, and he heard me. He answered me every time. He did. But one of those concerts that was, as it started, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm here. Halfway through, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm here. And when it was done, I'm like, I'm really glad I went.
And who'd you go with? Me, myself, and I.
My friend.
Me, myself, and I.
And last minute deal, which worked out nice. I loved it. So this is supposed to be his last tour. So
I guess I missed him.
You did, and that's okay.
Forever and ever.
Could be.
They always come back.
He could take a look at his bank account.
They always come back.
And say, "Oh, I need more money."
They probably.
If you're gonna steal from someone, wouldn't it be
The blind?
the blind guy? You really got to have a good support system around him to trust. That's for sure.
You know he's not really blind, right?
He's a great actor then.
Yeah, he's not really blind.
Nope.
I mean, he's legally blind, but he's not really blind. Not like blind.
Well,
Not like blind.
with those glasses on, he's blind.
He's more like,
He had those. What are those?
there's something there, but I'm not quite sure what it is blind.
Either way, he was in his little
They
in for everything.
they promoted him at a young age as fully blind because it really pushed the sales. And then they couldn't come back from it. That's the story. That's
okay.
I am big now, new into the whole conspiracy theory world. I am fucking embracing it. I'm loving it.
You're jumping into Stevie Wonder.
Yes, 9/11 was an inside job.
You're gonna
Stevie Wonder ain't blind.
You're gonna bust Stevie Wonder.
This thing is never getting any money.
Is Roy Orbison blind?
Who's Roy Orbison? Of course he's blind. He's dead.
Okay.
You got any other dumb questions?
Is he completely blind?
Was Christopher Reeves really paralyzed? Nope. He was not.
Because you can't paralyze Superman. I mean, that one's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that made the movie.
I mean, to be fair, he doesn't need legs to fly. He could just fly right out of his wheelchair.
I had to tell my kid this weekend that, Kung Fu Panda isn't a documentary, right? Like, it's a cartoon, like Kung Fu. Pandas can't really do Kung Fu. I was there. I don't know if you've seen any. Oh, you were there.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's a podcast you will never see.
I don't. What's the crazy movie? I just saw Kung Fu Panda 4. I loved it. Oh, cartoons. I don't really like cartoons. What?
See? Early hypocrisy.
It's starting already.
We're just talking about hypocrisy.
Oh,
early hypocrisy. It starts early. I got to cut that shit off. You can't fuck around with hypocrisy.
You can't. Well, being a little, I do got a quick, because tonight of our recording, shout out and a happy birthday to my grandson, Riley. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. I love you. I went to quick dinner with him, but because of my love for the show and our guest, I had to leave his birthday dinner early to come do this.
Okay. You can put those things in the calendar and then we just don't schedule podcast for that night.
And then that's a completely different story.
And then you don't have to come up with this fucking sob story and try and make everybody feel like you're a hero for leaving some kid's birthday party.
They're going to be a hero on summer. They're going to say, why would you do that?
He's not going to remember it anyway. So
he just wants to know what gift.
What'd you get him?
Well, here's what I'm getting him.
Wait, you did? His birthday's today.
I know, but here's my deal with my little buddy. I give him a gift certificate for a day with Grandpa, and we get to buy anything he wants.
So anything he wants.
Within reason.
What's his spending limit?
Well, he already wants a $350 Lego set, but I said, we'll slow your roll there, little guy.
Call Sosis. Maybe you can get it for you on discount. You got a Lego in.
I got to get him a favor.
Can you get me? I just saw some Lego thing. The Dark Millennium Falcon or something. It's like, in it. I don't know. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Legos or Star Wars shit. But it was like a dark one instead of the light gray one.
Ooh.
I don't know.
That's probably they probably burnt it in the kiln, and now they're just selling it for big dollars.
I've come to a moment in this podcast where I don't know anymore if I should correct you when you say words wrong or if I should just let it go and then let people yeah, okay, we're going to let it go. Do you even know which one you said wrong? Cool. All right. You'll catch it in post. You want to do the subscribe thing?
There are no wrong words coming out of my mouth.
This was a child's birthday party and you're this fucked up already?
No.
Oh, never mind. It's just how you talk. It's just how you talk.
When I'm sober, I talk this way.
You do. We're in Black Wolf.
It does, so whatever. But yeah, let's give it a like, give it a subscribe. Go to YouTube, Rumble, the Facebook, the Instagram, all of it, and share. Give it a like and share. That would be the greatest thing. Share with all your friends and enemies.
Share.
And share.
Executive producer of Little Bites.
Good friends of our next guest. Very good friends of our next guest, which will be cool.
So say it.
See?
Just say it.
Better never. Let's not keep a pretty lady waiting.
So without further ado, Krsy Fox. Hello.
Welcome.
I'm sorry, you guys. I never do this. I was like, oh my God.
No, I asked him, I'm like, we were messaging and I first asked about November 12th or 13th and then kind of threw this Monday in and I'm like, I wonder if she just said yes to the 12th or 13th and didn't really.
No, I think I said yes to them, but I think I got them confused. I don't know what happened, but I was just like, oh my God, I have to get home and do this. I'm so sorry.
No. We get how busy your month has been busy.
Yes, you've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, just you giving us any amount of time, we are so thankful. Krsy Fox, we
appreciate it. Yeah, very much so.
You guys.
So for you to snap to it like this was amazing. Appreciate it. We would have definitely done another night, but here we are and couldn't be happier.
And that backdrop looks familiar.
Right, because you guys interviewed Spider, right?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
The first question I want to ask you, since you're married to Spider, do you call him Spider?
I do, yes.
Okay, all right.
Everybody calls him Spider except for even his mom sometimes does, actually. If she
Yeah.
thinks about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Our daughter calls him, she calls him Daddy, but if she refers to him,
Daddy Spider?
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose it's hard when you're out in the world and everybody's calling him it. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, I feel like if you used his birth name, he wouldn't turn around. Like he does. Nobody calls him that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't even mention it when we were talking to him.
No, I don't even know it. No, I do know it, but we don't.
You don't need it.
Like I said to him, we've done about 200 of these things now, and I was more nervous for his episode than just about anyone because I've been listening to Power Man 5000 since I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
So it's surreal when we have people that have been in our lives for that long, and then they're sitting across from us. So
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to have you on because we love Little Bites.
Thank you, guys.
Such an amazing movie you and your husband did.
For 100%. I mean, yeah, I've actually watched it twice.
Yeah.
I like this so much.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. It was such like a passion film close to our heart. So it's really nice when people really connect to it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think people connect to it in so many different ways. And I personally really liked it because it wasn't a full slasher thing. It was back to the 70s kind of suspense building. And I really, we should get more of those. So I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm glad you thought so. Thank you. Yeah, I like both types of films, but I definitely, acting with this film, I got to really just like settle into it. And that was really fun. I don't know if it was fun. I guess like the movie, the content was really heavy, but it was fun as an actor to get to play a character like that.
Well, it was like a twofold for you. It seemed for me, doing it. It wasn't just a physical thing. It was a psychological as well. Was it double draining on you compared to other roles?
Yeah, it was the most draining thing I've ever done. Like, I mean, certainly at the most two kind of opposite type horror movies come out at almost the exact same time. It's crazy. And they both were like, all horror movies take a toll, but Little Bites is just, I think it was like the emotional aspect was way worse than the physical. It was very like, I kind of really lost myself in the character and like the heaviness of the content. And I just kind of had to let myself live there when I was shooting, because every day, you'd have a short turnaround, you'd go to bed, and then you'd have to be back on set and back in that headspace. So I just let myself kind of exist in that headspace. And then when we wrapped, I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. It took me a month or two to be like fully my normal, bubbly, happy self that I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really kind of rewarding as an actor to like lose yourself that much in a character. But it probably took a toll on me emotionally for sure.
Well, and it makes sense because it's not your typical, when we were talking to Spider, I said, it's not, I guess it falls into the horror genre, but it's an art film almost. It's a real movie, and it had so much emotion. And there's scenes where even I felt myself like, you're being so psychologically tortured. I'm crying for you.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine having to deal with that.
It was a lot. I mean, it was funny, but well, not funny, but just live in that space for so long. And then every day, like new characters would come in and almost everybody was just like assaulting you, like verbally or just sometimes physically. And I think it was just like, yeah, it was like a lot to take. And sometimes there was people I was like close to in real life, which also screwed with my head a little bit. Like, you know, like Barbara Crampton and I were like best friends, and like, oh God, now she's coming at me too, you know, on day 11 or whatever it was. And it was just, yeah, it was very overwhelming emotionally. And I remember specifically that one scene when Aguiar starts singing to me about my dead husband. I assume we're doing spoilers. It's out there.
That's up to you.
Yeah, up to you.
Okay.
We walk the fine line of we don't want to give too much away for sure, but I want to talk about everything.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think like with that scene in particular, I don't know what happened, but I just like fell apart. Like we did one take coverage and I was such a wreck. And then Spider's like, I think we have it. He's like, I'm like, really? That's it? He's like, yeah, no, I mean, I don't think we're going to get that level of snot again. I'm like, yeah, probably not. So it was kind of, you know, this very like natural progression for like me and the character, sort of the way we shot it. So
yeah.
Was it pretty much in sequence?
Not
if I remember.
Okay. It was the first day was just like the mother and the daughter. But then we dove into the monster stuff. So we did all the monster stuff and all the daughter stuff at the beginning. So I guess I maybe emotionally understood like the toll at that point, like of what this been going through when all these other characters started coming in. And it was almost like offensive that they would be so terrible to her, because I'm like, you know what this person has been going through and that was sort of the message of the movie. And the thing that I loved the most about it was just that it's really a statement on you don't really know what's going on in someone's private life behind closed doors. And if, you know, a lot of people are very quick to pass judgment on other people. But maybe instead of that, maybe extend a hand, be a Heather Langenkamp in that situation, and maybe just try to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And I think that people forget that sometimes, that we all have lives and things going on that maybe you don't know about. So I really liked that message, and I certainly have been there myself.
Do you think? Well, do you think shooting in that order helped with the acting towards the end of the movie? Do you think, like, if you had shot in the opposite order, do you think you would have been able to have that emotion?
I mean, I would hope so, but I definitely think it did help me, just because I found all the monster stuff very strenuous and very emotionally difficult, and also like scary, and also physically also invading my space all the time. And so, and out of all the characters, it was weird. The first day I shot with the monster, the first scene we did was that opening scene where I open the door and I speak into the dark room and he says, "I'm hungry." And we shot my coverage first, and I remember knowing what he looks like and not being able to see him, but just hear his voice. And I was just like, I got these like full body goosebumps. I just was so freaked out. And then it sort of set the tone for the whole thing. And so John, the guy who plays the monster, he would be like, "Hey, do you want to run lines? Do you want to?" And I would intentionally avoid him for that, because I was like, no, you know, like whatever this weird reaction I'm having, I want to like let that happen every time we have any kind of interaction. And I think it really worked, but I didn't do that with any of the other actors. I would rehearse with them, and, you know, and I just felt like it worked with this in particular. It was just such an off-putting thing. And it was so dark where we shot most of our scenes. Like you couldn't even see the camera. The camera was in there, but you just felt like you were by yourself, you know? So it was really, really creepy.
Well, we got to give John Skarlov shout out, because wow, what an amazing performance he'd put forth in that makeup. So when you were dealing with him, and he's a great introduction, but did you find yourself like, I'm going into the scene this way, but then once he threw something at you, you turned and reacted a different way? Or was it, we just kind of bouncing off what you were saying about spontaneous?
I mean, that happens a lot with actors. Like, so I really like to see how I naturally respond to other people, but I feel like that in particular, not really, because I think I really had to, it was almost like I had to be inside Mindy's head. And it was almost like always a game of chess with him, where it was like, I can't show that he's getting to me. I can't seem weak. I have to be strong. I have to, but I also have to give in to what he needs. And it was just like this weird balance. And so like, I would just always be thinking in the back of my head, fucking hate you, like the whole time we're doing every scene. Like I just like I hate so much. And I just so I just would have to really like remove myself. But there were certainly moments where I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to be touched anymore. I don't want him to bite me anymore. They would call cut and I would get the hell out of there and like go for a walk, you know what I mean? And you have this thing in your body where you naturally want to run and remove yourself from situations like that. And I felt like I was forced to stay in it. And so it definitely made me naturally just have these reactions that I think you would have. It's sort of like, you know, it's fight or flight thing. So
like Mindy did. Forced to stay.
Yeah, exactly. And that was why I was like, you're so uncomfortable. But there were scenes where I like the makeup girl's like, oh, that when you were crying there, I'm like, I was crying. Because I like didn't even, my responses were so like, just like my whole body would respond. So yeah, it was a really cool experience, really heavy experience, but it was just something to do with like the monster and just the way he approached it and the way the headspace I tried to keep myself in, and this like kind of weird. And also I think the pacing of the movie, like even the way we speak to each other, like there would always be a lot of time between every time I'd say something, the other characters it would wait a minute to respond and almost try to figure out how to manipulate me or the situation. And then and that was sort of a note that Spider gave us at the beginning. And it was really fun to do that as an actor and also just to watch the other actors, because you can read so much on their face before they say their line. And maybe what they're saying isn't really what they mean, you know, like all those scenes at the bus stop when I'm trying to pick up the Paul character, like everything I'm saying to him, I'm talking about myself. You know what I mean? But it seems as though it's about him. And that was really fun. I liked all the underlying meaning and with all the dialogue. Yeah.
One of the coolest things was the tension of the bell. And Spider mentioned how he liked to hold it just a little longer than people might. And we said it was perfect. Like the scenes when you're waiting for it, you know it's coming. You feel so bad for Mindy eating those stupid noodles or what. You're like, you know it's going to ring, ring. But yeah, it played out so well because it just built so much tension.
Oh, I'm so glad you thought so. Yeah, the bell thing, it could not be a more disrespectful thing, like to some human being, and to have expectations to ring a bell like she's an animal or something. And it's infuriating.
Does he still just walk around with the bell once in a while?
Sometimes, no. If he did that, we would be divorced. Yeah,
he knows better. He knows better. For sure.
He did tell us that when the script was done, you told him, that's me, I'm playing that role, don't even.
Yeah, it was weird. Like there, we have, whether it's something I write, he writes, sometimes it's like not necessarily a given I'm gonna necessarily be in everything, but there was something about this particular role, and also for him, because we're parents together too, that I was like, I know exactly what this is about. I connect to this so deeply that I'm like, I have to do this. And it's not very often, like, especially for a woman, that you get to play a character that's like so flawed and so vulnerable, but so strong at the same time and actually good. It was just a really unique character. And I was like, I have to do this. And I connect to it so much. It was almost in a weird way easy for me to fall into it. It was harder to get out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Well, the big question, right? What would you do for your children?
Yeah.
It puts you to the ultimate test.
Yeah.
For both of you, and I mean, I can see why you both wanted to be involved. Well, he wrote it, but I'm saying
he's involved. Yeah.
I mean, why he wrote it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, we have the best kids. So, it's just, you do anything for them. It's just a really special message. And I also think that, I've had friends growing up and stuff who've struggled with abusive situations or, whether they have addiction issues. And I think that it spoke to that for me too. And I just was like, wow, this is a really important story. I just want to be a part of this story.
Yeah, I definitely felt the addiction. One of the first questions I asked Spider was if there was something to do with addiction in there. And I even thought like the second time that I watched it, felt it even more, like some of the script, like when he said he prefers the arm, not the legs. I was, just led me to, okay, this is an addiction thing. But I get that that's what I like the most about it, is that it wasn't really explained down to, like, we don't know why you have to stay. We don't, and I really liked that aspect, because then you can get out of it what you want out of it.
Exactly. I think that those are sometimes the best, whether it's a movie or a song. It's just like you can take your own message out of it. And I think that, you know, why she had to leave, I think everybody makes decisions for themselves that they feel like are the best decisions for themselves and their family. Doesn't necessarily mean that another person would make the same decision, but it's certainly easy to judge when you're not put in that situation. So I think that people are always like, why wouldn't she leave? Kill him. And it's like, well, you don't know because you're not there. You don't know what she's going through, you know?
Right.
Well, how amazing to be able to be the first to read some of the words that Spider writes. I mean, that's got to be a joy.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun when, you know, we're writing scripts, whether we're doing it together, apart. It's like we like to share things early. And I remember this, like, he doesn't always write scripts in sequence. So sometimes it'll be like scenes or sections of the movie. So it's sort of like, oh, it's fun to see, even though he'll talk about it, where it really goes when it's on the page. And I really got to read it as it progressed, which was exciting. But I feel like that moment when it was like done and I saw how it was going to end as well, I was like, I have to. And I'm, you know, we laugh about this all the time, but Spider's always like the forever loves a happy ending in a movie. And I'm like, kill them all, you know? So this was nice because, you know, this did have, even though it was really heavy, it had a Spider ending where there was hope. Where, sometimes I'm just like, are you sure we can't kill like just a couple more people? So that's where my Terrifier book is, you know?
So with that, how do you find it different writing by yourself and with him? And not that you prefer one or the other, but do you find some stories close to your heart that you're saying, nope, I don't want any outside influences? Or that's when you want to look for more?
Yeah, I mean, I like both. We've written a couple things together. One thing we actually made, which was Bury the Bride. But no, I mean, writing by yourself is fun too, because it's really like your own voice. And, you know, we also have an age gap. So we do like a lot of the same films, but we grew up at different times. So like some of my influences are different than his influences, just because that's how you're molded when you're a kid and the things you see. So, so that's kind of exciting when I do something that I wrote myself. I can see our generational gap sometimes, and I kind of like that because it's like, oh, cool, like that's a like different spin for our production company. But at the same time, yeah, we're both like obsessed with these films like The Shining and The Exorcist and things like that. So we have a really good balance. But it is rewarding to do both, and it was actually very fun writing together. We only like wanted to kill each other a couple times, so that's
yeah. You guys work together a lot. You're like do you get breaks? Well, I suppose when he goes on tour or you're off promoting Terrifier or something, you get some time away. But I would imagine having to work. They say don't work with your spouse, right? It's a tough thing. So when you guys are making 6 movies in 4 years,
we have a really good connection that way. I think that it was helpful because, you know, the last 2 films we did, we just finished our other film, Big Baby. And right when
can't wait.
Oh, thank you.
Can't wait. Mm-hmm.
He would go on tour, so I edit the film, so I get to do my first pass without anyone bugging me. Just get to like focus, and then I share it with.
Can I stop you for a second? How cool is it? You edit your own films, and I edit this podcast, and I fucking hate editing a 1 hour long podcast that I just have to cut the beginning and the end, and we're good to go. Why do you edit your?
I was going to say the opposite. Go.
It's really dorky, but I love editing. I find it very therapeutic. It's just like one of those weird things, like why some musicians love to like engineer, you know, and why would you want to do that? And the only thing is you get really sick of yourself. Like when I'm in it, like it's a lot easier, like something like say Little Bites, because I look so different than myself and I'm acting so different than I am in real life. It's a little easier, but Big Baby, I get to be a little bit more of a real person and a real, like, you know, happy, supportive girlfriend type character. And that was harder because have you ever listened to yourself on like an answering machine or something?
Yep.
Awful. So that you really have to try to, I'll refer to myself as she. I'm like, oh, look at when she's doing this, and I won't ever, I like have to remove myself. But no, I really enjoy it. It's sort of, if I'm not directing and because a lot of the production stuff is in the beginning. It's a lot of the prep. It's a lot of our pre-production. So this is sort of my creative contribution in that way to the movies, because a lot changes in the edit, and it can be one of the most creative times, in my opinion. Okay. So I really I think that every movie, something within the edit has surprised us, or maybe that it's changed direction because of the edit. And so it's really exciting to me. I kind of love to sit with all the footage and be like, okay, where's this going to take me?
Yeah.
Okay. So
of course, I'm just bitter because he doesn't do any editing. I like how he said, I was going to ask the opposite. It's because you haven't edited anything in 4 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah. For the first,
maybe
the whole editing, after a while, you get pissed off when they're out in the sunshine, for sure. It's not fair.
My point was that it's now I can control my performance. I can control which performance of the 3 takes I like the best. Not that you're doing 15. I know that, but so that's where I was saying the opposite. Was it like an experience that other movie was edited and you're like, that sucked. I'm never going to let that happen again.
I've always edited our films, but it's sometimes, for instance, Terrifier, obviously I was an actor. So I just came in and I did my job, and then that was it. So you have to really trust, and luckily Damien knows exactly what he's doing, but that's not always the case with every job. So yeah, I think it is nice. You get to pick, but then it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, where certain things I'm like, there's no question. It's this take. It's for, but then there's sometimes when I'm just really being authentically just normal. Those are times when I'm like, I'll go to Spider and be like, okay, this is the one I went with. Am I making the right call here? Because it's me, and it's harder to remove yourself from that. But
sure.
Yeah. But most of the time it is nice to have that control and to make sure I like, even though it doesn't seem like it with Little Bites, like a tight edit, but we also knew going into say a film like Little Bites, we're not going to approach the edit like we are with Big Baby. We knew it's about having a ton of space, a ton of breathing room, whereas like Big Baby's more like the more classic edit, and just a tight, fun, high energy movie, well, mostly.
Sure.
Or some dark
slash
for sure, but
more to the slasher genre.
Yeah.
So how cool is it? How cool is it working with some of the legends on Little Bites? You mentioned Barbara Crampton, Heather Langenkamp, Bonnie Aaron. How did it all work out that they're all in the film, and how cool is it working with some of those people?
I mean, it's amazing. I've been friends with Bonnie probably the longest. Bonnie, the very first film I ever wrote and directed, which was during COVID, it was a super small movie. It was almost just to keep me and some of my actor friends and my crew sane. Bonnie was in it, and so we became friends through that, and we've been friends for a long time. I've worked with her a few times, but then it was sort of a weird personal thing that we always wanted to play mother and daughter in something. So when Little Bites came along, sort of couldn't unhear her voice when I read the script, and Spider sort of felt the same. So it was really special to have her, and it's just something that we kind of bucket listed, and we got to do it. Barbara was the same. Barbara is one of my closest friends, and I was sort of nervous because we hadn't worked together in this capacity. We hadn't acted together, and I was like, how am I supposed to hate her? Like, she's the most unhateable human being on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
He brought it.
It's called good acting.
Actor, It's why she stuck around for so long, She's
No, I meant you. You're acting like you hate her. You're like, I mean, we all know.
We believed you hated her.
Thank you. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, she she knows how to push your buttons. No, that was amazing. It was really special that Barbara was in it, and that she was that role, and that we got to play something that was like the opposite of what we're like in real life. And then Heather was sort of a newer friend, but someone I admired for so long, who obviously, like, Nightmare on Elm Street is like one of my favorite horror movies ever. It came out like the year I was born. It's like it's a really special movie. And I just always thought she had such a spark, and then obviously as a human, she's wonderful and kind and gentle, and she sort of encapsulates the character that Eleanor is. But at the same time, I've said this a few times, when I was working with her, I was just like staring at her, like she has this it factor that you don't find very often, and you just totally understand why she's just a star. Like, she just is so captivating. And it was really amazing shooting that scene with her, because the first take we did, he yelled cut, and she was just like teary, and she's like, you just look so sad. And we were just like having a connection of sadness, and it was really amazing, and really, really cool that you get to work with some of your heroes.
And one of the only breathers you got during the whole movie. One of the only scenes that wasn't like super, super dark and intense. I mean, it's still kind of intense, but
yeah,
a little bit of hope to that scene.
Totally. And I mean, that's her. Like, that's her too as a human. She's just a really good human. So, you know, I was really happy she was that character. And you don't see her in those characters a lot. And that was sort of the other fun side of it, was like trying to cast them in different roles than you normally see them in. That was sort of fun to like, oh, where are they going to take this? And
well, we were talking before about Bonnie and different characters. She's creepy in every role that I've seen, but she's different creepy, and she nails it each time. Even like I didn't get to see I Live Alone, but I saw the trailer, and again, she's creepy in that in a completely different way. She's amazing.
She's great. Like, Bonnie has such a, I don't know if you have ever spoken to her or met her, but she has such a presence in real life that is unmatched. You do not miss Bonnie in a room ever, ever.
Okay.
And
I believe it.
Yeah. My first phone conversation with her before I met her in real life, like, I think she dropped the F-bomb like 65 times. Like, she just a full, like this really huge, big energy. And so it sort of is exactly what needed to happen for the mother. It's like almost like Bonnie, just be herself, except obviously she's a lot nicer in real life.
I was going to say, yeah.
But be you, be like this strong energy, but just, you know, be a lot meaner to me. It was her idea.
Yeah.
You know, you look like crap. So that was, you know.
True professional there.
Yeah.
Say like it's true crap. You look like crap.
Yeah, it was like just when her voice is on the phone, you're just like, oh God, she's a bitch. And then she shows up and you're like, oh my God, what?
Well, if it says anything,
fantastic.
Bonnie is just like my daughter's, like, I think, favorite human. So she's obsessed with her. And, and she comes to like her Christmas concerts at preschool. Like, she's a wonderful human. But yes, she did a fantastic job. And it's fun. It's fun that she gets to sort of pick on me for the whole day. That was great.
Well, that's for sure. So now the other genre of the slasher. I mean, we got a hit on Terrifier 3, the biggest hope, you know, I mean, right now, the biggest horror movie going on. That's amazing.
And I have to interrupt and I have to say thank you, because we have been trying very hard to have anybody from Terrifier on the podcast, and you are the first person who's been in Terrifier.
I'll push him all this way.
Thank you.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, since the first one, it's you know, he got me onto it. I'm like, wow, this is something. It's slasher, but it's a different take on it. He does something different, and he just goes a step beyond. And then when you think he's done, he goes further.
Yeah. Then he brings out the bleach and salt, right? Yeah.
Oh.
So, how did the opportunity come to work with it? Was it a passion of yours to go onto it, or did they reach out to you?
It was sort of like this weird long journey. I was a fan of the first one. I saw it. I saw the second one and I loved it. I became friends with them more online and stuff because they're in New York, and David is now LA based, but that's just very recent since we shot the movie. So it was more like we would communicate. And my daughter is like, since she was 2, was really obsessed with Art the Clown. And it was
your daughter's the coolest kid on earth.
She's really into it. So like I'd send Damien videos of her like just doing something stupid, obsessed with like art, just being silly. And so he sent her this like huge box of like the most insane like Terrifier swag, and like she has like a prosthetic of Victoria's face on her bedroom wall. Like, so yeah, so we spoke for a really long time, and then a couple years ago, Scout Taylor Compton and I had a birthday party that was like a joint birthday party because our birthdays are very close together. And Damien happened to be in town, so he finally got to come. We got to hang out. And I think it was that night I was like, oh my God, like I would love to be part of it at some point. Like I just love the Terrifier series. Like I just love it. And he was like, you know, I might have something for you in 3. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. And, you know, I kind of was like, he's being sweet. That's really nice.
Right.
It's like, I already gave your daughter a box full of sweat. What more do you want?
What do you want, woman? Seriously. I'm like, I just want the clown to kill me, please. So he reached out to me as they were getting closer, and he's like, so are you still interested? And I was like, oh, yeah, and I remember saying to him, how bad is it? And he goes, oh, it's brutal. That was like,
Yeah.
And I was like, then yes. And so I sent him some clips from Little Bites, and I was like, oh, it's crazy. I did sort of a mother-daughter thing here, and he really loved it. And he's like, yeah, let's do this. Like, if you want to do it, we want you to do it. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it.
And you're right off the bat. You're right at the beginning. You're kind of you know, here's the main character or main parent. Nope.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, no, he told me, he was like, you're the Drew Barrymore in Scream. Like, this is what we're
there. It is.
like.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. I mean, not that I could ever compare myself to Drew Barrymore, but that was sort of his pitch. And Scream is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So I was really excited. And then I read it, and I started having nightmares. And then I met him, and I'm like, I've been having art clown nightmares. And he's like, oh, that makes me so happy. And I was like, no. And then
Wait. To him, it's a compliment. That's what he wants, right?
I mean, it is a compliment, but yeah, no, I fully was having nightmares, and then I went to set, and you know, I was hanging out with David, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be scared now. He's like the sweetest guy in the earth, but no, when he turns on Art the Clown, you're scared. Like it was not hard to scream your ass off for sure.
Yeah, I've said to him, the first Terrifier is not only one of my favorite horror movies, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. What Damien did with the first Terrifier is what horror movies are supposed to be. There's no rhyme or reason to why this clown is killing people. He's just killing people. And it's so good. And it's so exciting to see that horror is back and #1 on the box office. And it's such a cool thing.
Like, honestly, there could not be a group of people and creative people that deserve it more than Damien and Phil and everybody that was involved. Like, everybody involved in that movie they're just amazing people. It's like an actual family when you get on set. And, you know, I really related to it because that's sort of what we try to do with our sets. And I got there and I felt very safe, and, you know, everybody was so wonderful. And then all the actors are so wonderful. Lauren was amazing, and Sam, and then and obviously I got to work with David. I didn't get to work with the girls, which was a bummer, but it was, a lot of these are standalone. And he's just like the opposite of how evil Art is, and was singing the ABCs with my daughter on set, like in full count in between takes. So
it's cute, but so creepy.
It's so awesome
stuff when you actually think about it. But it's
yes, for what he's done.
Yeah,
and then to be like, he's next to my daughter. Look what he's done through 2 movies.
Well, it's he moved here, and my daughter, I'm not lying when I say she's the biggest Art the Clown fan. She had Art the Clown versus Zombieland birthday party theme this year, and he came. And so he was at the party, and all the moms, like, from her school and stuff, who a lot of them don't watch horror, they're like, oh, how do you know them? And he's like, oh, I'm the clown. And they're like, oh God, like, it's really amazing.
I'm guessing you aren't invited to PTA meetings.
You know, they're starting to accept me, but I did bring a group of moms from the preschool who, like, none of them ever watch horror movies to see Terrifier 3 with me. And I, like, just took photos of them the whole time. That's all I did. I didn't even watch the movie because they were just...
Had they seen any Terrifier before that?
No.
Heck no.
No. Only one of them left during it, though. So that was good.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It would have been a fail if none of them left. I mean, that's what they've been hearing is, you know, that people are leaving during your kill scene in the whole front, or front of the movie. I'm just envisioning, as we get talking, like, you're to walk in your daughter's room and everybody would think, oh, a 16-year-old's room. This is like a 16-year with all this horror stuff, and it's a 5-year-old.
It's crazy. Like, she has hundreds of monsters. She has masks everywhere. She has, like, the Stranger's mask and, like, Art the Clown on the sides of her bed. I'm not kidding. It's, like, crazy.
The Strangers, that one creeps me out.
Oh, yeah.
Any of those movies where it's, like, real life situations that could like, Art the Clown doesn't creep me out because I don't see that actually happening. But the Strangers is like that. Those are the ones I struggle to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that was why this scene, the opening scenes was so effective for people too. It's just, like, obviously beyond the awful things that happen, there's just something about a home invasion at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's just like, wow, it's a lot. You know,
I think I shouldn't say favorite part. I didn't mean it that way because of killing, but what was when he's done killing and he eats the cookie and then he washes the dish. The clown is
Yeah.
cleaning the dishes.
It's a really it's a top favorite thing also for my daughter because when he goes to the laundromat and cleans his clothes, she's like, oh, he's such a good boy. He was mopping the floor because I only let her watch sections. She can't watch. She's never seen the bedroom scene or any of that. I have to pick and choose, and that's she's like, oh, what a good boy, you know.
She doesn't know what he's mopping.
She does, but you know, yeah, we just don't let her see some of it, you know.
So she's never had a nightmare.
No, that's not true. But you know what it was?
Okay.
Screwed up because this kid, I mean, obviously we're still picky about the content she watches. And even with her, we have to watch the sunglasses scene. But I let her watch Arachnophobia. And so the spider thing, nightmare thing. So never again, nothing with bugs. I'm not doing it. It was.
Wait, Dad's name is Spider and she's afraid of spiders?
Yes. It was sort of, I was doing another podcast. I was doing the Scarred for Life podcast, and that was my movie that I picked that really messed me up. And so I was like, I have to rewatch this. And I was thinking, I'm like,
wait, you're afraid of spiders and your husband's name is Spider?
I'm really scared of spiders.
There's a lot of irony there. I don't.
I know. It goes for that a lot. So.
And you call him Spider. You could choose him to call him by his birth name, but you still call him Spider. All right.
Yeah, I called him Spider Kitty for years just because it helped a little bit. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like in Frank, right? If you give it a real name, it's not as scary.
That's actually my stepson, Spider Son. That was when he was younger. I would show him stuff, and it was sort of his theory. So I kind of took that from a real experience. What Descent, and I think he named it the monster Jeffrey or something. And I was like, okay, and it helped through it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you if that was a childhood thing you did to get you through, but
it was more him, you know.
Sure.
He has that. My daughter's more if you're friends with the monsters, then they don't want to hurt you. So it's either they're friends. Yeah. So her pitch to Damien was I want to be in Terrifier, but I want to be Art the Clown's helper. She doesn't pick victim. Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
There's a question for you. In your head, does Art the Clown kill the daughter that's under the... Oh, I shouldn't give this anything. We'll just bleep that part out. Yeah. Never mind.
Oh, but yeah.
You can give spoilers for your movie. I don't want to give spoilers for Damien's movie.
He'll tell us all. He'll send her the address. Don't do it.
And we're... Yeah. Wow. I did see.
I'm gonna have nightmares about Art the Clown coming after me.
I did see David Howard Thornton on a podcast talking about how he was bullied when he was younger, and I thought, how do you think those people that bullied David Howard Thornton when he was younger feel now? I'd be a little scared.
Yeah, there's no way anyone's messing with him ever again. Yeah.
Right? He's so good at playing a villain. It's so good.
He's amazing. He's such an amazing actor. It's such a hard thing to do, and to not speak and to have to do express so much. It's just, yeah, he blew me away. I tell him that all the time. I'm like, I'm one of those people. I'll gush over people if I get very excited, and I just start doing that to him constantly. I'm like, so good, dude.
He is. He's got her down.
Yeah.
Well,
he does.
And we're very much the same way. And we haven't, I don't think we've applauded your acting in Little Bites enough on this thing, because it's one of those movies that you're like, it sucks that it's not a big movie that everybody's going to see because your acting is so good.
Oh, and that means a lot. So much.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully, podcasts like this, it just helps with, indie movies. And the cool thing about making indie, and especially indie horror, is that it always has a longer life, and it has resurgences.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's sort of why you do it, is because it sometimes takes a minute for people to catch on, but they do. And, it's, look what happened with Terrifier. I mean, it's been around a long time, but, Damien stuck to his vision and he believed in it. And that's really, and then, the fans are there for horror, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully that you being in Terrifier 3 will help bring people to see other work, and to his point, to see this and your performance in this. And and then even further back, as you go with your other movies, because once I got into it, I started watching, in Allegoria. Yeah. Once I found that, I really love that movie as well.
Oh, thank you. That one was such a special movie to do. It was sort of my dream to get possessed. I just really wanted to get possessed. So I was very excited.
Well, maybe.
Whole life.
I mean, I wanted to. Not yet.
On film.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
I mean, I'm not. So yeah.
Currently. But I have it down because I want to talk about it because I really do love that movie. But when he brought about your acting, and for people to go see it just to watch your end speech,
Oh,
it is worth the whole movie. It's not. There's so many good parts about it. I mean, but your speech is so amazing. Yeah, did I read that right? It only took one take.
Yeah, we did one take we did 2 angles on that and one take of each, and that was it. It was sort of just kind of like that weird, like the singing scene where it was just sort of one of those moments that Spider felt too, that you couldn't do it again. It wouldn't be as effective the second time. So I trust him, and I was really happy with it, and I was really happy with it. I thought Josephine was a great scene partner in that too. It was just like
she was fun.
By the end of it, when he yelled cut, she had like full tears down her face too, because she was so uncomfortable. Which I was like, okay, this is hopefully working then, because she's not crying.
It worked. Well, and this the whole. You can watch that movie. You can jump in at any segment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and then watch it over again, and you can just continue to watch it over and over, and that's what I really liked about it. It was so intertwined.
It was a really fun movie to do, and a lot of it was done during COVID, so that was also sort of a nice just something for us to put something out in the world and just keep us busy and keep us positive during that time.
Yeah. And we caught a little tiny glimpse of, and Spider told us it's not really the same, but we caught a little tiny glimpse of Big Baby in Allegoria.
Yeah. So, he's a different character now, but there was a demand for Big Baby and we heard it. So yeah, really, really proud of that movie. I cannot wait for people to see it because it's just different type of slasher I've ever seen.
Where is that now? Have you guys filmed that? Is it wrapped up? Or you?
Yeah, we've wrapped. We're in post-production. So we have a first edit done and we're just doing some, last minute stuff, and hopefully it'll be out kind of early next year is the hope.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you edited that one as well?
I did. Yes. I edited it. We literally did the same thing as Little Bites. We wrapped. Spider went on tour less than a week later. And then I just got through the edit. And then we kind of went through notes when he got home, and it was okay, cool. So now it's just there's just some small things we have to do to it, but it's close, and music and all that stuff, the mixing and.
Yeah.
Have you ever edited the movie and when he came back from tour, assuming that's the pattern, and said, we really need to reshoot this scene because I can't find anything I think that works?
That's a good question. It hasn't really happened. I feel like we don't overshoot, but we make sure we have it. But there has been things where it's we need this extra angle, or we need a pickup of someone's opening a toolbox, things like that. Well, so we're actually going to do a couple small things for Big Baby too now that the edit's done, but nothing that will be dramatically different than what we have. It's just more small things. Sometimes with effects too, you'll go back and be like,
sure,
oh, we can make that shot gory, or let's amp up that, or things like that.
Okay. Well, when you mentioned the how movies can change, through edit, I didn't know if that brought. Well, if we reshot this, it would make it go better.
That's a really good question. No, I mean, sometimes it's weird things within what you shoot, and then
sure.
But I'm trying to think if we have done anything. Well, I know in Allegoria, this is sort of a funny story. I don't know if Spider's ever told this on an interview, but it was after we shot the big monologue scene, and he wrapped, and the movie was done, and he came home, and I had left a few minutes before him because I had to get all the makeup washed off, and he walked in, and I made him a margarita, and we're celebrating, and then he's like, oh my God, I didn't shoot the end of the movie. He didn't shoot the last shot, and he wrapped everybody. just so happy and elated with that ending sequence that he was just we're done. And so we had to go back the next day, and luckily the location was available, and to come to literally shoot for probably 45 minutes max. So
wow,
it was insane. I thought he was lying. I was like, you're fucking with me. Okay. And he's like, no. I was like, the one time I leave set. Come on. Yeah.
God damn it, dude. Do I got to do everything around here?
No. It's a pretty funny story. We laugh about it now.
Yeah.
And luckily it was all fixable. But yeah, so things
It worked.
that do happen. And yeah, no, I think sometimes like within the edit, what will change is like maybe like a scene you think is important isn't, or you change the scene or you change a sequence, or it becomes like the way you edit something sort of changes it. I've used stuff that the camera was rolling, but it wasn't technically, no one had called action yet. I've used like moments. It's like, it's a really interesting thing. But luckily we haven't had to do anything too crazy that would, be a huge thing on the budget yet.
Yeah.
Knocking on wood.
Yeah. When you're low budget like you guys, budget's a big thing. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So who wins between the director and the actor when you think you want to do another take and Spider thinks you have it? Who wins that?
That's another good question. It depends what it is. Like if I really fought for it, if I was like, no, like I really need, he'll let me do it. But there'll be times where I'm like, I feel like I should. And he's like, no, we have it. And I can tell by his face that we do.
Sure.
I do trust him. Like that's the beauty of working with somebody as much as we work with each other, is that we really trust each other. Or there'll be things like, just because I edit, I'll be like, I really think I'm going to need another angle on this. And he'll be like, okay, let's figure that out. Like we really work well. And we also do so much, and we have to because of our shooting schedules. Like our pre-production is really extensive. Like no one gets on set and is surprised by anything. Like our schedule is to a T. Like, we make every day, we have to. So, So yeah, that helps. It helps us, and we actually like genuinely like working with each other. Like I think he likes directing me, and I like him as a director. Like, he's the one thing he always says, he had to learn how to be more like, yes, that was great, I'm excited, because he's almost one of those people that if he doesn't say anything, that's good. But
yeah, he's kind of chill. He's kind of mellow and chill. Yeah.
As an actor, you're like feedback, and he's like, no, I just don't have any. If I don't have any, that's good. And so he started doing that more because it was, I think actors are like, are you sure? Like, are you good?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of actors and working together, I mean, you obviously through all your movies, Frank and Barry the Bride and all of them.
Yeah.
A lot of the same actors are in all of them. So, I mean, that's a big trust factor there. It seems like they're all playing different characters all the time, but you bring them back for a reason. What's that biggest reason?
Honestly, it's just knowing what people are capable of. You learn actors and you know what you can rely on them for. And so even if it's a totally different character, you know what they're capable of. You know what they're like to work with. And sometimes, like usually every movie will have at least a couple people maybe we've never worked with before, or we didn't know before. Like in Big Movie, we have Brandon Scott, who is amazing and who's done a million things, but he was like excited. He's like, I want to be in the trenches with you guys. Let's go. Like he's just like, and those are the type of people you hope that, especially because we are such a family, that they just fit right in. And so it is nice and it's comforting, and it's just like everybody feels super safe, and we always have the same crew. Everybody knows the crew. It's just a nice experience.
Well, they all do a fabulous job.
Yeah.
So I got to switch lanes a little bit and talk about the cartoons that are coming out from Dark Corners and where those ideas came from. I've watched them all that have come out so far, and I like them because I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she's not into horror like yours, but I feel like it can be a slow introduction into it, and I'm excited to show them to her. So where did the idea for that come from?
It was kind of crazy. So Kate Siegel and I are friends, and our daughters are good friends. So they were having a play date, and Kate and I are just hanging out one day while the girls were playing, and we just started talking about it, and just about how there's not enough horror for like kids their age that's like appropriate, because not every kid is like my kid that just loves the clown, But it doesn't mean that they don't like spooky stories or they don't like Halloween. It's just like trying to find that bridge into, maybe you're not quite ready for scary stories to tell in the dark, or are you afraid of the dark yet? But just sort of the younger generation, and doing maybe something that was more geared for what kids that age like. Like they love YouTube. They like short, simple, and they like animation. So we're like, maybe we just gear it for that, but we try to get some really influential horror people to write it, and also get maybe kids involved in the concepts and the ideas of behind all the stories. And we talked about it, and then we actually started doing it and pulling it together. And we brought in Molly Elfman, who's like an amazing producer and also a mother. And it just actually happened, It was a lot of work, but we assembled these 7 stories, and we got people like Stephen King is writing the final story of this series.
Wow, that's huge.
Crazy. And Paul Tremblay, his story's out now, and we have some YouTubers like Alana Pierce and Ethan Nestor. They're involved in Miss Crow, and that's like a whole, the fan base for people who are obsessed with like YouTube and YouTubers. It's really cool. And then Kate and I got to write one based on stories that our daughters kind of are things that our daughters are scared of, and then Molly wrote one, and Heather Langenkamp came on and wrote one.
Yeah.
And it was
so cool.
Amazing. We did our world premiere at Vidiots here in LA before, and we watched them all beginning to end in a packed theater that had a ton of kids all dressed in Halloween costumes. And it was like, oh wow, it was sort of like this weird, magical, like heartwarming moment where we're like, we're kind of spreading horror to the younger generation, or the goal anyway.
Well, and I think it's important because everybody I know who likes horror movies got into them young. And I had a sister who was 7 years older than me. And when I was like 8 years old, her and her friends were going to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. And they're like, you can sit over there on the other side of the room. All the lights are going to be off, but you got to sit there for the whole movie. And I'm okay. And that's how I got into horror. And I like that that was a little aggressive as an introduction, but
that's what older sisters are supposed to do. That's the thing. It's just, it's an important thing. Like, not everyone has someone to like introduce them, and like they don't have their gateway into horror. But I think that there's really like good messages too for kids in each of these stories. And it also teaches them tropes without being too much for them. And we do this little thing called a pumpkin rating that, 1 pumpkin's the least scary, 5 pumpkins is the most scary. And, people really seem to like them. And it's just been like, it's just sort of one of those weird little passion projects that became a bigger thing. And it's been really amazing. We're super.
It's cool because the animation style is different on all of them. So they're so unique. And one of them's like almost like a stop. What do they call it? Stopgap animation or whatever. Stop motion. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was also really fun. We got to work with all different animators, and we wanted it to feel like each story to feel like its own thing. And also it helps kids sort of learn what they like, because animation there's so many different styles and so many different. So it was just sort of like a choice that we're like, we want this to feel like, everybody can kind of pick what their favorite is and what they connect to the most. And then also kids can binge it. And
absolutely.
Well,
James is great.
I have to say, as of right now, I'm a little biased on my favorite. My favorite is by Kate, that is titled Dimples. So
it's a really cute story. It came from, I think it was something her daughter either was having nightmares about, or it was like something she was afraid of. And so so that's her daughter's voice and my daughter's and mine. And so we used like real kids too, which has also been really cool. It was insane the day of recording because it was like just kids everywhere. But I think it's important. Like, we watch shows like Bluey, and they have real kids doing the voices, and I think it just is really magical.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about your daughter a little bit, because you did a short with her called Hymns, and we've both found the trailer, but we haven't found the full short. Is there somewhere we can watch the full short?
It's not released yet, but I can certainly send it to you guys if you want to watch it.
Oh, okay. Okay,
100%. Yeah, that's great.
So how does that come about, that your daughter wanted to be in a horror movie?
Honestly, that was what happened. So she was in Little Bites for a minute too. She was the little girl, James and Chelsea, and she's done like some small things. She did a short film before that. And she just was sort of like, Mommy, I want to star in a movie. I want to star in a horror movie, and I want there to be a monster in it. And I was like, okay. Then I
can make that happen.
Like, let me write us a little horror movie and we'll be in it together. And honestly, we shot it in one day. We shot it one Saturday. And it was like a really fun, we had a really small crew. I think there was like 5 of us, but it was like my team, but just my team super condensed. And my makeup team and our DP, Andy Patch. And we just shot it in one day. She was only 3 when we shot that. So
what a professional she is. Already at 3.
She's really, really unique.
She's really,
very.
She's really good in it from the trailer. She's really is a good little actress.
Thank you. She freaks me out sometimes how good she is. She does like auditions and stuff, and she just is fantastic at memorizing dialogue. And I don't know.
Well, I bought Algoria, and in the extras, they have her come on, give her speech from Hymns.
Yes.
And she nails it.
No.
They just like out of the blue.
Oh, no. The speech she did was my monologue in Allegoria. She memorized it when she was 2 years old, and she would walk around.
Oh.
We didn't know.
Oh.
We didn't know that she knew it. Like, because obviously, again, I edit, so she's hearing it all day. And so all of a sudden one day she's like playing in her dollhouse, and she has a toy, and she goes,
"That's right.
Needs more death." And we're like, "What's happening?" And she just knew the whole monologue, and it became a.
That's right.
So yeah,
I'm pretty sure a 2-year-old saying "death needs more death" is the beginning to a horror movie I saw.
It's so fun.
Not it should be.
Yeah, she's a really smart kid, and she's just really passionate. Her favorite horror movie right now, outside of like her classic favorites, is Oddity. That's like the type of taste she's like, "Can we watch Oddity tonight?" And I'm like, "That's an awesome movie, but most 5-year-olds don't watch those movies. That's not, you know." But she just really has great taste, and she's really unique.
Whatever she recommends is what I want to see next. So
a whole channel of her just making movie recommendations, honestly.
Right, 5-year-old horror film movie reviews.
It'll be a trip, I promise you that.
So
awesome.
Instead of just then we can touch on obviously what influences when you were young.
Yeah.
But after you saw like the first horror movie that you loved, what is and I'm including myself and him in this as well. Why do we go back and want to say, I want to see that again? I mean, what do you think makes us want to see gore again?
I mean, I think like for me, the movie that did that was
The
Chainsaw Massacre. I should not have been watching it. I was way too young, and I was like traumatized.
Me too.
Horrified. And then I immediately wanted to watch it again because I just think it was that reaction. Like it's I don't know if there's anything else that can get that physical, visceral reaction out of you than a horror movie. Like a horror movie, it kind of does everything. You want to cry, you want to laugh, you love the characters, you're terrified, the adrenaline. I think it's just that you get addicted to it. I wish I could get scared like I did back then now when I watch horror movies. Like it's, I feel like I get more scared when I'm in them than when I watch it now,
So what's the last movie you saw that actually scared you?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. The last one, I yelled out loud during When Evil Lurks. There is a moment where I was just like, I haven't verbally like yelled at the TV since probably a Hereditary. And I'm sure if you saw When Evil Lurks, you know the moment that I yelled. And so that probably, and honestly, there was a moment in Oddity I got really freaked out. If you've seen that movie.
I haven't seen that. Spider mentioned it as well, and I've got to see that.
It's really good, and it was just really like, I don't know, there's something creepy about it, but yeah, probably those. And honestly, I think the first time I saw Terrifier 3, I was just like, it's not necessarily about how scared I was, but I think just like those reactions that I felt, like you don't always feel that, but it was just like, I don't know, I felt like I couldn't breathe half the time. And it's like, even though I know it's coming, I just don't know how far he's going to take it. So, yeah.
Well, in the shower, he took it.
Yeah.
He took it far.
Yeah.
How much of the movie did you know before it came out? Were you able to read the full script before?
I don't know if I ended up like reading it, but I knew all this. I knew the story.
Okay.
I knew all the kills.
Okay.
And so I knew, but again, when you're talking about Damien, you know the kills. It's like, okay, but he'll take him like 20 times further. Like I remember even like there's a moment, the first reveal in my scene, because we're gonna be careful of spoilers, that I didn't expect that they were gonna show that, and they did.
Yep.
Like I remember going upstairs and seeing the monitor and being like, oh wow, oh okay. All right, and I had to like, yeah. And there's something about just like, but I love it. I love it. I like, you think it's over. You're like, oh no, it's not even close to over.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh, my goodness. And I think that's where I find myself too, is not so much scared all the time, but cringe and and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember being really terrified of, is it The Ring or The Grudge? The one where the girl makes the weird noise. Is it The Grudge or The Ring?
Both.
Just the one. Yeah, I think The Grudge. I don't know. But
where she just makes that guttural noise.
Yeah.
That one freaked me out, but
it did.
It was very scary.
Let's not go, and we want to keep you too long. We appreciate all your time, but we got to mention your music as well, because I've been getting into it more and more. I apologize. I didn't know a whole lot about Krsy Fox back in the day, but or even today. But boy, yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I've been listening to it the last week over and over again. So, any plans to get in the studio again?
Yeah, I mean, we released a song not that long ago called The Bends. That was like our newest song. I think it was like within a year. And so that was really fun because it was sort of just, I wanted to release something. I miss touring. I haven't toured as much. I've been doing a lot more film stuff. But I used to tour a lot, and there's nothing like playing live, you know? So, but yeah, certainly, I think that I'll always release songs and hopefully be doing shows. Because yeah, it's just like a different, it's almost like when you make a movie, you're like, you make it and then you have to wait. And there's like a long, like before anyone sees it and you get any kind of reaction. And there's something about like playing a live show and getting this immediate connection and reaction from the live audience there's nothing quite like it. Yeah. And I mean, I still write songs. I write on every record with the band Theory of a Dead Man. Like I've written with them for every record they've ever done, and pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Like I think the first one. So, yeah, we were, and you know, so I still am writing on the side, and I'm doing, you know, because there's just certain bands that I always like to work with.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And whose idea was it to make a whole album of different versions of Wrecking Ball? Like a dozen different. And how did you get?
It was this company, a friend of mine, Justin Gray, kind of brought me in to do that because they're doing more licensing stuff. So they will make full albums of like, different, like Wrecking Ball will make like all the different genre versions of it. And so when they got to the rock version, he was like, will you do this one? And I was like, absolutely. This is like a blast. So yeah, it's one of those songs. It's such a jam. I was like, of course I want to sing this song. It's amazing.
It was like 12 versions of Wrecking Ball over.
Wait, now, since your daughter is so cool, what's your daughter listening to? Because I want to take my music advice from your daughter as well. Like, what's
her list? Well, obviously she's a Swiftie. All little kids are.
Mine too.
Yeah, but because obviously Cher being involved in our films, like I remember one day I showed her a live video of Cher and Sonny Bono singing "I Got You, Babe," and
oh, nice.
And she watched it, and I was like, "That's Chaz's mommy and daddy," because she knows Chaz very well, and she knows Cher, and that I'm like, "That's Cher." And then she's like, "Oh," and then she just went on this deep dive on her own, and she's like deep cut Cher fan now, like loves Cher. So, but
what's that like to love?
What's that?
What's not to love about Cher and her music?
She's amazing. She's incredible, and then you know, like. Well, right now, because I'm telling you, she loves Art of the Clown, but she's into Ice Nine Kills. She's been listening to, she loves, like, The Art of Dying is a big one happening. But, like, she'll get into, like, metal music a lot because, obviously, she's around it. But then, you know, she likes her Dua Lipa, and she's a really wide range of style. And, yeah, she's really fun. She's, like, obsessed with music.
I heard you mention that she was a little upset that you couldn't get her to Dua Lipa's house.
Yeah, that was she has no concept of reality because it's her uncle's a musician. If she likes that, she gets, or like we have so many friends, or she'll like someone from a movie and we'll know them. Like we watched Starry Eyes the other night, and you know, I'm friends with Alex Esso, and like literally 2 days later, we're at a party together. I'm like, she's like, that's the monster from the movie I just saw, and I was like, yeah, So yeah, the only person she hasn't got to meet is Taylor Swift and Dua Lipa, and she asked if we could go to Dua Lipa's house, and I was like, I don't know Dua Lipa. I'd love to, but she's like, well, what do you mean you don't know her? That doesn't make
probably easier than getting to Taylor Swift's house. I'm just saying.
True.
Gosh, Mom, you don't know her?
You know, it's It's now dawning on me that the reason your kid is so cool is because mom and dad are so cool. I'm like, how did that just hit me now? Like,
I don't know if we're cool, but I mean, we're just.
Well, we love the circle that you guys hang out with. We've had John Sosis on the podcast, and he's such a cool dude. And I asked Spider, I got to ask you as well. Did you finish the Lego sled?
No, I brought it home. My sleigh is like literally, it's just the bottom of the sleigh still. It's so bad. I'm so bad at Lego, but I brought it and I was like, told my daughter we're going to do it. And she's been asking. I'm like, yeah, we're going to totally do it. And we haven't done it. Yeah. And John was mad at me. The last time I saw him, I was like, dude, he came to see Terrifier with us. So that was fun. I love him.
Yeah. He's a good dude.
Yeah. He was fun to have on.
Yeah. It's such a cool circle that you guys, and like he said, with all the actors in the same movies or the same group. And it's such a cool thing to see and how you guys prop each other up and help each other out. And I've said it over and over again. I wish the podcast world was that way. It feels a little more competitive and nobody wants to promote each other or help each other out, which kind of sucks. But that what you guys have there is fun to see.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that's how it should be. And that's sort of the most amazing thing about the horror community. It's like, we're all like genuinely just fans of each other and we all hang out. You're genuinely excited when you see your friends succeed and and I think the fans are the same way. Like, I feel like you start to get to know even the fans in the circles and like everybody like supports each other. And I think it's just like one of the only communities I've ever been a part of that feels like that. We have like this horror actress group that we try to get together every month and we all just like hang out often at Barbara's house and just, talk about what we're doing and it's just amazing. We have like text threads where we just support each other and I love it. I feel very lucky, and you just really get to know each other and cheer for each other.
That's rad.
I love that you can now get recommendations for other cool stuff because there's so much out there. There's always more.
Yes, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing. You guys, I mean, one horror movie does well, it just props up the next one, right? I mean, it's good for the genre and so.
No, absolutely. It's like the more you see horror win, it's just a win for everybody,
Absolutely.
We just saw Smile 2 as well. And I saw Parker at like a party a couple days later and I was just like gushing. I'm like, I fucking loved it, man. It's so good. And I had like all these questions and, it's just, you get very excited about just anything in horror, like just kicking ass. Indie studio doesn't matter.
Yeah. Cool.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much we like we said at the beginning, we both loved the movie so much to have both you and Spider on. And I told him I'm a genius. I've seen a lot of interviews where you both were together. I was smart enough to book you separately so we could get an hour with each of you.
We can talk shit about each other. Like, oh, God, I know.
No, he just kept saying happy wife, happy life. He's smart. He knows.
No, I guess it. No, he's the best.
No, it worked out. Can't thank you enough. It's been awesome talking to you. We could talk to you for another 10 hours, but we appreciate your time. We understand how busy you are.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. So good to meet you in real life, or sort of real life.
Yeah, you as well. You as well.
Bye.
Thank you.
Maybe someday.
Yep,
maybe.
Hopefully.
Thank you for listening. The tavern is closed for now, but we'd love to have you back for more fun next time. Seriously though, get your asses out of here.